Hello everyone, this is TJ here from Mac Advisor UK. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison of the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 5. Some of you commented you wanted to see a comparison between the 4S and the 5. Unfortunately I don't own the 4S, and I've seen a few videos comparing the 4S to the 5 already, and things like speed differences are just ever so slight because, you know, most of the stuff that's in the 4S is pretty much in the 5. But anyway, I'm going to compare my iPhone 4 to the iPhone 5. So obviously if you have a 4, then this will obviously show you advantages in speed and what have you, and obviously it will show a wider gap in things like the speed and various other different comparisons as compared to, say, a 4S would. So I've got the iPhone 4 here on the left and the iPhone 5 on the right. Both have got exactly the same stuff on them. I've cleared the caches in the Safari browser. They've all had all apps quit, and they've both been shut down. So I'm going to do a few different tests. First up, if I just push them together, you'll notice the size difference. Now, the iPhone 5 is only marginally taller, sort of by a few millimeters, and what they've done is the black border at the top and the bottom of the screen has also been shrunk down. You can probably see the black border ends about here at the bottom of my nail there on the iPhone 5, whereas it's a bit higher up on the 4. You probably can't see that until the screens come on. So as well as shrinking those borders and increasing the overall height, they've managed to keep the phone more or less the same sort of size without making it too big, and sort of giving you that extra ½ an inch in screen size, which is very nice. In terms of thickness, if I put the two phones one on top of the other and bring them to the camera, you may or may not be able to tell, but essentially the iPhone 5, if you take this bottom layer of glass on the iPhone 4 and the stainless steel band, that is essentially the thickness of the iPhone 5, just minus that piece of glass on the top. Now you may argue it's probably just a millimetre or so difference in the thickness, but when you get down to phones that you are talking in millimetres of thickness, a millimetre is a lot, and if you shave off even a millimetre off the phone, then it does make a difference to the overall sort of size and weight to the phone. So that's just a difference in the size comparison. Obviously design wise they're both pretty similar, you could argue, but I think once you've got the iPhone 5 and you sort of hold it in your hand, then the iPhone 4 does sort of look pretty archaic in comparison, even though it is a nice beautifully designed phone. So that was sort of a look at the size comparison. Now what I will do, I'm just going to do a startup test. Both have been shut down, and we'll just see. I've not run any of these tests before, so this is going to be a first for me as well. So I'm just going to start both up now. Just hold both down power buttons and see which one starts up first. I do notice on the right here that the Apple logo is a lot more colourful than the one on the left. It does seem more white on the one on the left, but it just seems to have more of a greyish hue to it on the one on the right. But we'll just see which is the fastest. I think when I initially started up the iPhone 5 it did seem to be a bit slower than the iPhone 4, but as you can see there, it started up and it is a lot faster. So we're still waiting for the iPhone 4 to come on, and these are both, as I said, running exactly the same stuff. Everything, it matches up in terms of applications that are running and what have you. I've put them both onto airplane mode because the phone signal tends to interfere with the microphone, and we're only going to be using Wi-Fi for some of the tests. But there's the two screens. You can see, if I match the screens up, the bottom of the two screens, you can see just how much taller the iPhone 5 is in comparison. Let me just go on to the main screen, home screens here. So you can see here I've lined the two phones up so the docks are in sync across, and you can just see how much extra screen real estate you get on the iPhone 5, so it's very nice. And I don't know whether you can pick that up on the camera, but the iPhone 5 is more colourful. I mean, I will do a brightness test in a moment, but that was the startup test. So the iPhone 5 definitely won out there with the A6 processor, and I believe it has more RAM and various other different improvements in it, so that's obviously helped towards the startup time. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a music test. So I'm going to go into the music app here on both of them from a cold startup, and you'll see there that the iPhone 5 went into the music app a lot quicker, which is something I've had problems with in the past. Normally I start up the phone and go into the music app first thing in the morning, and it does seem to take a little longer on the iPhone 4, so it just comes up pretty much instantly on the iPhone 5. So that was obviously a first test that I did, because that's one of the things that I normally do when I first switch the phone on. Another one, if I go to the last page on both phones, I've got an app here, Asphalt 7, which is a game. So I'm going to start it up at the same time on both phones, and we'll see which one starts up the quickest. Obviously I think it's going to be the 5. You can see there it's already in the lead. And there we go, touch the screen to continue. Touch the screen to continue on that. And we're already into the game already on the iPhone 5. The iPhone 4 is still struggling to load it. Hasn't even, here we go, touch the screen to continue. And we're in on that one. And that one's still taking a bit of time to actually load into the game, even once I've tapped it to continue. But you can see there that it just loads up the game much quicker. So obviously you're going to have increased load times and that. Another one I'm going to do here is a web test. So I'm going to launch the web browser. As I said, these have both had the caches and everything cleared. So I'm going to go into, let's go into my stuff on here, and we'll go ahead and we'll just load up Apple Insider on both of them at the same time. Now we are using Wi-Fi here, so it's obviously dependent on the Wi-Fi speed, and each is going to differ. But you can see here that the iPhone 5 loaded that one up quicker. Let's go in and choose another one. We'll go on to Mac Rumors this time. Let's load up Mac Rumors, and you'll see that the iPhone 5's already loaded that up again much quicker. And let's just do one more. We'll go on to iTunes movie trailers on both of them. And you'll see that that one's already loaded up before the iPhone 4's or even thought about it. As I said, this is obviously over Wi-Fi. Both seem to have the same signal at the moment, but the iPhone 4 does seem to be taking longer to load that up. So vast improvements, and obviously there are improvements to the Wi-Fi in the iPhone 5, but that's just a quick test of the Wi-Fi there. Next up, I'm going to take a look at the camera. So if I go back to the home screen on both of them, we'll go into the camera app, and we'll just see, I'll just check to make sure that they've both got HDR photos turned off, which they have. So we'll just see how fast they are at taking a photo. Now obviously I did show you in my first impressions video how fast the camera was on the iPhone 5, but I'll show you compared to the iPhone 4. We'll just take one photo now and just check the speed. So obviously you can see there that there is a big difference in speed with the iPhone 5, and obviously if you are trying to take multiple photos, which we'll just try now, which doesn't quite work so well when you're trying to do it with two of them, but you can take the photos much quicker with the iPhone 5, just one after the other literally, and then with the iPhone 4 you do have to wait a few seconds before you can take that next photo. Obviously the shutter is just an animation, but the fact that you can take the photos much quicker on the iPhone 5 just shows that it is much faster. I think it's about 40% faster than on the iPhone 4S, but that's the camera system there for you. I also want to check out brightness, because somebody commented on one of my videos they wanted to see the brightness on the two displays. So let's just go into brightness and wallpaper on here. I'm going to turn the brightness up full on both of them, and we'll just see which one is the brightest. That may be blinding you a bit too much on the camera there. But looking at it in person, the display is much brighter on the iPhone 5 than on the iPhone 4. Both are bright, but this one is way brighter. I'm just hoping that that's showing through on the camera. And if I go back in and turn it down to a dim setting, so say about a third, let's just turn it down to about a third of the brightness roughly. That's about a third brightness on both of them. And you can see this one is a little bit more bright than the iPhone 4. So you usually tend to get that with displays anyway. The newer the display, the brighter and more colourful it is. Obviously if you do suffer with problems with your vision and you do find that the brightness is too much on the phones, you've obviously got that slider to turn the brightness down. But it just stands out more, although this is fairly dim to me. I don't know how it's showing on the camera to you guys. It does tend to be a lot lighter and more colourful, even though the display is dim. And I wouldn't say it's sort of blind in a way that it blinds you, but that just shows the level of brightness on the phone. So let me just bring the brightness up a bit on the phones for the last test that we have. Just bring them back up to a normal sort of brightness there. And the last test we're going to do is a shutdown test. They've both been doing exactly the same stuff. They should both have the same apps open on them. and everything else is on par. So we're just going to do a shutdown test for both of them to see whether the shutdown time is quicker on any of them. So let's slide to power off on both of them, both at the same time. We've already got the, surprisingly, the iPhone 4 shut down first. So the iPhone 5 is still taking a bit of time to shut down for whatever reason. But that was the test of both the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 5, which was still waiting for the iPhone 5 to shut down. I think generally the iPhone 5, when I've been using it, does tend to shut down pretty quick. I seem to get the same thing with my MacBook Pro. Sometimes it will shut down instantly, sometimes it will take sort of a few seconds longer. I guess it depends what you've been using it for and what applications are running at the time that you shut it down. Well, that was just a comparison of the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 5. We've looked at size and the speed. We've done a few tests, the web and the camera tests, and looked at the brightness as well. So hopefully I've covered pretty much most of the things that you would generally be using the phone for. There obviously probably are other tests, but if anybody would like to see something else, I may do a camera test, like a difference in photos and video at some point, but just for general usage of the phone, then launching apps and the web and the camera and things like that. Hopefully that's enough for some of you. But if you have any comments or questions, as always, you can submit those below or feel free to drop me an email. Don't forget to check out my social links below for Facebook and Twitter, and you can also feel free to message me on there about anything you want. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.